stigma that unfortunately, around senior communities compared to a facility is we have to break down those barriers. And that's what a
Makes sense.
day-to-day is what I do. And then
Okay.
even, residents and their family members that are just starting the process, getting them excited that, this can be their next chapter in their story.
Well, welcome to another episode of Built Local Conversations with Community Leaders. I'm your host, Nick Bohr. As always, I'm excited about the next episode. We have conversations with community leaders or individuals, people who are building, leading, and making a difference in our local community. And I'm excited about today's guest. I have Ashley Hoff, that is the community specialist for Independence Village of Brighton Valley. Very happy to have you on the show. Ashley, welcome.
Well, thank you. Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here today.
Well, Independence Village, it can mean, just the name can mean a lot of things to a lot of people.
Mm-hmm.
Let's help our viewers understand tell us about Independence Village of Brighton
Yeah.
Valley. What makes your community unique upon what seems to be a growing amount of facilities and different nuances and focuses? What makes Independence Village different?
Yeah, so Independence Village is a senior community, but we are an independent and enhanced living. So what that means is a resident can come in independently, and then once they age, we're going to age with them. So if they need care services, we're going to add those care services on so they can age right into their apartment until the end of life. That's when we can bring in, that extra support because we want them to feel comfortable because this is their home. So whatever they need, we're going to be able to assist them to a certain point.
I think that's so important because, there's a lot of stereotypes out there about living facilities and just saying care facility and kind of lumping it all together.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like a lot of people have that stereotype of, oh, well, you are going into a facility, and they don't think of it as like an independent apartment type living. They think of it as, well, I'm going into a room, and unfortunately, I'm going to need round the clock care, and it's going to be like a nursing home when it doesn't necessarily need to be like that.
No, and that is our biggest stigma that we have. And, as a community specialist, I have to, overcome those challenges of we are not a facility, we are a community. We have residents that are here that, they just need that extra support. They just lost somebody. And then, as they're aging, we're going to age with them. And we're not institutional. They're apartments. First of all, we're bigger than my first apartment out of college.
That's great.
But we want them to be able to furnish it, to make it feel like home. So if they have a favorite couch, bring that couch in. If you have a painting that, you got when you were traveling, we want to be able to hang that up. We want your living space in your apartment to feel like home because that is your home. But the community in a whole is your home because we have so many unique things about our community. We have an atrium. There's not a lot of senior living communities that have atriums. They have these cool common areas for seniors to bring their loved ones in, to congregate in, to meet other residents, to play bridge or euchre in.
So that's great. It doesn't feel just like, here's the cafeteria and then go back to your room.
Yeah,
It
no.
feels a lot more like an interactive community, and you can bring in family and friends and visit with other residents. So it almost sounds like, I don't want to be cliche, but it almost sounds like a social club a little bit.
Yeah, I always tell when families are coming in, I'm like, it is a cruise that never leaves dry land.
I like that analogy.
Yes.
A cruise that never leaves dry land.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So tell me, as a community specialist, what does a typical day look like for you?
A typical day, the first thing I do when I walk in, I have some residents that have been with me since day one. I go and I check in on them. I do my walk of the community, make sure, if something, resident, needs help with something, I'm going to help them out. And then throughout the day, I'm going to be guiding future residents or family members into the journey of senior living. Because I will tell you firsthand, it's overwhelming. And there's, you have that stigma like we were talking about
Yeah.
of it's a facility, my parents can't, once they're here, they can't leave no,
Yeah.
they're not, they're going to be able to go to activities. Right now, a bunch of our residents are on an outing to Kensington Park to go to on the boat. So they have that ability to come and go as they are. It's just, they no longer can take care of the house, or they're lonely, or, they just lost a spouse.
Okay. So this is obviously a really good, the facility, Independence Village is not just that care facility. It's again, it sounds like the community, and it sounds like it can really benefit some seniors that are lonely, like you said, just lost a spouse, or maybe their family, maybe their children or their other family loved ones, maybe they're not local, but maybe they want to stay in Michigan, but their family now is out of state. Well, this is an opportunity that they can live independently, have their own home, but still have the support of a complete community, meet new friends, have residents, have activities, be able to do things and not feel like they're in a facility.
And we have those safety components also for residents.
Okay.
If a resident needs some type of an assistance, in every single apartment, we have those pull cords. For, if a resident feels off just a little bit, they're able to pull that pull cord 24 hours a day, and we're going to be able to assist them. So it doesn't matter if it's 2 o'clock in the afternoon or 2 o'clock in the morning, somebody's going to be able to knock on their door, come in and help them. So it's, this stigma that unfortunately, around senior communities compared to a facility is we have to break down those barriers. And that's what a day-to-day is what I do. And then even, residents and their family members that are just starting the process, getting them excited that, this can be their next chapter in their story.
Okay. I know we've talked a little bit about this already and how Independence Village is different, but as you mentioned, it can be very overwhelming for a loved one moving into a senior living facility. What's the biggest? I mean, some of this we've talked about, but I just want to elaborate or expand. What do you think? Some of the other big misconceptions are that families have before they visit.
Yeah, that they can't come and visit them. There's only a certain hour of visiting hours, like in a facility.
Okay.
No, they have the ability to come, at 7:30 at night, or they can come on the weekends. They have that flexibility to come and see their loved ones. Or if they have a child that is out of state and they want to come and stay with them, they can do that right into their apartment. So they have that ability. I always tell when I'm on tours with families, the song Hotel California. It is nothing like that.
Okay.
You know how, a lot of that perception is like, oh, well, mom and dad are here.
Yeah.
I can't, no. Once a resident moves in, their family comes in. We want them to interact. We want them to come to our happy hours that we have on Thursday. We have these events so that the family can come in for, to participate in them as well.
That makes sense. So you really want not only the new resident to feel welcome, but you want the family members to feel like, hey, look, there's no restrictions as far as visiting hours or anything. You can come and go as you want. Please understand, this is your loved one's home. This is not a care facility per se. Okay, that makes sense. What are some of the signs that it may be time for someone to start considering a senior living or an independent living situation?
For themselves, if they're lonely, if they're just sitting in their home, they're not really socializing, or if they had a recent fall, they lost somebody, or just taking care of the home is way overwhelming. They're paying somebody to cut their grass, somebody to come in and clean their house, do their laundry, all of those tasks they're paying for, and it can get expensive. So that's when I tell, start looking into senior living. It is a process. It's going to take a little bit of time, but you're 2 steps ahead. And then also if something does happen, you have a choice instead of, oh, I have to move here because this is what's available.
Gotcha. No, that makes sense. That makes sense. So what do residents enjoy most, in your opinion, once they move in that surprises them?
Yeah, the relationships that they built with residents. I mean, I've have residents that, they have moved in and now they have a best friend.
Yeah. I had a feeling, just some of our conversation already, I had a feeling that's what you were going to say is that they've got an extended family now. They've got a couple new best friends in their life because they see them every day. And just like you said, some of the things about moving into, or even considering moving into a facility, if they're lonely, it's not about if they can't take care of themselves anymore 100% of the time. It's maybe they're just lonely. Maybe they, just like you said, they have to outsource taking care of the home and managing everything, and it can get expensive. And being able to offload all of that and now have support and have a community of people that can, create activities for them and be able to actually step into not only like I hate to say the term like a social director, but almost like, hey, we have all these events and activities going on. You get to pick and choose now what you want to go to. If you don't want to go to anything for the first month and just get acclimated, you can do that.
And we have residents that it takes a month, but then also to help that new resident, we have a mentor program, and I can't say enough about it, but it is so, because it's overwhelming. First of all, you've been living in your home for 50, 60 plus years. Now you're moving into a community, and there is things that you used to like to do, but you can't do because you don't have somebody to do it with, or you no longer you have the capability to do that. But what we do in the mentor program is we do an interview of all of our new residents, and we find what their likes are, what they did for a living, and then we kind of match them up with somebody that has the same interest, the same background, and they kind of guide them through the community. Because I will firsthand, it's overwhelming, but having that, it breaks it a little bit easier for the transition.
I could imagine. I mean, like you said, it's not many independent living facilities have an atrium.
Yeah.
I mean, so like I can imagine coming in the door, that's got to be overwhelming. That sounds like a great program. So pairing them based on what they did for a living and what they like to do for fun and enjoyment or relaxation, pairing them with someone that has similar interests, I feel like that's got to be a great program for you guys.
Yeah, it is great. And also, I can't say enough about our residents. Our residents care so much for each other. It is, not only is our staff invested in our residents, but our residents are invested in the staff. And that is one thing I take a lot of pride into, because, your housekeeper is coming in every other week. You're going to build that relationship with, the housekeeper, or our maintenance team. You're going to build that, relationship. Our executive director, she's going to be able to help you, if you need help with grocery shopping, she's going to be able to help you do that. It's the one-on-one that we do with our residents, I think makes us so successful in what we do.
Okay. No, I think that's great that you are having that one-on-one and that close-knit support and communication. So help me, is there one memorable resident in your mind that you feel, wow, this was really a great, I don't know what the word is, but it really reminds you why you really love what you do.
Yes.
Because you felt like the community made a difference for them.
I had, when I first joined Independence Village of Brighton Valley, I had a resident that, had an inquiry, wasn't ready, just wanted to see what was out there, had some medical issues, and they just weren't ready. So I let them know, I'm like, hey, let's meet up once a month. I want to see how you're doing. I want to make sure, we're going to be a right fit for you.
Yep.
And just following them through their journey on to getting there. They had to sell their house. All these steps that a lot of places don't think about, or, other people there or other communities are like, oh, well, she isn't moving, I'm moving on to the next. No, it's building those relationships with the residents that are moving in. But it took her a year, and there was a lot of things in that year.
Yeah.
But I checked in on her, and then she moved in recently last October, and she's like, thank you for not just dumping me. Like, thank you for helping me through this journey, giving her extra support at the home that she needed, giving her advice on, you could use, here are a couple of companies that you can use.
Ashley, it's interesting because, you've made some comments just in conjunction, to me, in conjunction or coordination with that story that I'm just like, wow, okay, that makes sense. It's not just, oh, well, you're not ready to move, I'm going to go on to the next one. Like you said, I mean, it's overwhelming. Think about, you're talking 40, 50, 60 years in their home, if that's still one of their first homes, that they now need to grasp selling it, moving, and moving into still that stigma of a partial facility or senior community.
Yeah.
That can't be easy for a lot of people.
It isn't, and that's why we put in different types of, if they need help downsizing, I'm going to give you, a couple of companies that help with that downsizing, because they have 60 plus years of memories, and now you're going to be bringing it into a smaller area.
Right. No, that makes sense. So what advice would you give to adult children who are just beginning the conversation about senior living with their parents?
Letting them know that it's not a facility.
Letting them know that it's not the facility, or it's not the care facility that they think it is.
Yep.
That, oh, hey, we're moving mom or dad in here, and now this is it.
Yep.
Like, this is like, we're working toward the end, unfortunately.
Yeah, I would say the earlier start. So having those conversations, the earlier, the better, compared to if there is a medical need and now your mom or dad is discharging from the hospital and they have to move somewhere.
Yeah.
In 24 hours. Yes, we can do that, but we want to build those relationships from the beginning, earlier on than, oh, they need to move in tomorrow. We can do that. We do it all the time, but just the awareness of what senior living is.
Oh, I think that's a good point. I got to imagine the longevity and the lifespan of your residency is a lot longer if people are actually looking for an independent living facility versus, like you said, a medical condition comes up and now they're in rehab, or now they're coming out of a hospital and they need to move somewhere in 24 to 48 hours. And you can do it. However, I got to imagine that relationship, that lifespan of the resident, it's completely different.
Yes.
Okay, that makes sense as well. One of the other things, Independence Village has been recognized as one of the best of senior living. What do you believe has earned the team that you work with? What's earned that reputation?
I will our team at Independence Village of Brighton, they bend over backwards for our residents. We make sure that they're happy, they're satisfied. Like I said a little bit earlier, our executive director, Marie, if somebody needs help with their going grocery shopping, she's going to help them pick out what they need. Or, like next week, I'm going to be making Texas sheet cake with a resident because we had that connection bonding. It's a lot of communities have these big grand events. I think it's the day-to-day that we do that just makes our seniors happy. We're all in this together.
Yeah. No, and I think that's a very good point. That you are all in it together, and it's not. It takes a community to really make that difference. If someone's watching today and is just curious, or they're nervous about senior living, especially if it's for their parents or their loved ones, what's the one thing you would want them to know before scheduling an appointment to have a tour or a conversation initially?
Yeah, go on our social media, our Facebook. Everything, every activity that we host, we're posting a picture. We have testimonials on our website of residents that currently live with us and how, what made the difference or what made them decide to move to Independence Village. We, even if they want to come in but they don't want a tour, we have a balance class every Thursday at 10:15. They can come and just check it out.
Okay. So really just kind of dip their toe in the water before they really feel like they're jumping in the pool with
Yes.
2 feet. Okay. You obviously interact with a lot of local businesses. You're the community specialist.
Yeah.
So you not only work with residents, but you also work with other community businesses. What would you say one Brighton business or organization is locally that you love supporting, and why is being involved in the community so important to Independence Village?
I know. I wish I had one organization or one company, but I would say our first responders, our hospitals and our rehabs. Once a resident goes out, they're the ones who are caring for them.
Yeah.
We have a lot of vendors that come into our communities. We have senior moving company that they're helping the seniors move into our community. We have Precision that is doing repairs for a resident or helping them remodel their apartment. There's so many different vendors that are in and out of our community that's a hard
one to say.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's a hard one to say, but I would say our first responders in our hospitals and our rehabs, because they're the ones that have the eye on our residents if they have to go out.
Okay. Well, I've enjoyed the conversation. It definitely sounds like Independence Village is definitely not the normal facility or care facility stigma. Like you said, it's an independent senior living and enhanced living, which I think is an important distinction for a lot of viewers and individuals to know, because again, there's that stigma out there, like we said, that everyone feels like it's a facility or it's a care facility, and they all lump together, and that's not true.
No, it is not true.
Well, again, I can't thank you enough for coming on the Built Local show.
Yeah.
Great to have you.
Thank you.
Again, this is another episode of Built Local Conversations with Community Leaders. I'm your host, Nick Bohr, and until next time, take care. I think that was good.